How's it going, peeps? Welcome back to Viva La Coin. I am Joe. I will be your host for today's episode, and this is going to be the first in our altcoin breakdown series focusing on the Binance US exchange. Now, of course, if you could, like this video, share it, and subscribe. We are on our way to 100 subscribers before I repeat a single Hawaiian shirt. And although my supply is running low, I have faith in all of you and in the content that we are putting out being useful. So I appreciate everyone that jumped in to join us today. And of course, any questions that you have, leave them as a comment down below. I'm happy to respond to anyone in that regard. So let's go ahead and jump into some of the altcoins that I am bullish on the Binance US system. Now, real quick, looking at Bitcoin, I mentioned in my intro video for the altcoins, we're sitting around 57.4. Still deciding whether or not it is going to begin that dump or correction before CME futures close next Friday. However, everything is still holding pretty steady, and I don't expect that we would see that dump too quickly, but it is all up in the cards at this point. I just expect a lot of volatility over the course of this week. More importantly, just that you know it's coming. One way or the other, you can be mentally prepared, and that we won't all have anxiety attacks simultaneously. Then that's good enough for me. But let's jump into what altcoins I specifically believe in and why I believe in them on the Binance US exchange. Now, if you don't already have an account on Binance US and you haven't created one, I will leave a link down below. It's a referral code to set it up, and I would appreciate if you use that if you're going to use Binance US. But their process right now has been a little bit easier to upload. Typically, when Bitcoin's going through the roof, they get incredibly backed up, and it's very difficult to get your identity verified and your banking synced up. And they had a lot of times, especially around January, where it was a minimum of 15 days to get everything verified and to get on. So it's best to do it preemptively, even if you don't intend on purchasing anything outright this week. It's a good thing to get ahead of. But the first one I'm going to touch on, I'm going to show you each of their pages individually and some news about them. I'm not going to pull up my Binance US account just because it doesn't really show any of this information. It just shows the tokens themselves. But I do own all of these different tokens, some of which I've sold out of, some of which I'm going to buy back in. But I believe in all these projects, and I'm not a financial advisor. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Do not listen to me if you expect sound like financial advice as if we're sitting here and I'm just showing you P&E ratios in the stock market. All of this is incredibly volatile. It is based on my education, but please do your own research on top of that to make sure that you understand what you're investing in. Education is the best weapon against exploitation. So let's jump into it. Now, the first one I've talked about time and time again that I am incredibly big on, that is one of the biggest holdings that I have, is VeChain. So I'm going to look at VeChain first, and then their secondary token VeThor. So VeChain, when we first covered them just about a week ago, they were down around 6.5 cents, and very consistently, if you were to create a channel out of that, they are moving up step by step every day, whether Bitcoin's up or down. They're holding very strong. And this project that deals with supply chain management and functionality across the board, and already has multiple massive partnerships with Walmart over in China, BMW in Germany, and a bunch of other energy-based companies that want to reduce carbon footprints. They are going to continue to face higher and higher levels of adoption and partnerships as everything reopens post-pandemic and as this bull market continues. I feel very confident in them as a blockchain, and this is one of my long-term holds where even at the end of the bull market, I'm still holding a big bag of this. I'll sell some of it to then buy that massive dip, but I'm holding on to VeChain for the long term. I believe in this project. I love their team. And if you want to learn more about them, I put out a separate video about a week ago. You can go and check that one out. It was actually our most viewed video, even more than the What is Bitcoin video. So the community for VeChain just are seeking out more and more information on it and sharing that information. So definitely exciting. Now, the other one is their backup token, VeThor. So if you remember from my VeChain video, on the title page, it showed VeChain Thor is the total name of the ecosystem. Now, where VeChain is the crypto that is used in supply chain and tracks everything and that people are purchasing long term, there's a set supply of VeChain of 86 billion, and that is the max supply. There can't be any more. There's a secondary token that they use, VThor. Now, this is their fuel, essentially. So when we talk about the prices on Ethereum, those gas fees, VThor is the fuel that runs the VeChain ecosystem. Now, I was buying this as well back in 2017, and at that time, it was a fraction of a fraction of a penny. And it was a fraction of a fraction of a penny all the way up until recently. They just started taking off as of right around February 1st. They were still 1/10 of a penny. And right now it's at 2 cents. It's already at 20x. And the reason for that is already VeChain is being used more and more day after day in the economies of these Asian and European countries, China being the largest. And the more VeChain being used, the more VThor is burned when you're running all those different transactions through. Now, there is no total max supply. So just like a lot of other tokens, more can be generated. So that drives a lot of people away from purchasing VThor because they're saying, oh, well, just like Doge, you could just print a 500 billion of them and completely devalue it. But then again, if we take a look at Polkadot or Ethereum, they don't have a hard cap max supply either because more generated as the network scales. I believe that VThor is going to continue to go up in price as VeChain is scaled, regardless of whether or not new tokens come out. And when they continue to go up in price, I assume, and this is just my own personal take based on nothing else but my own speculation, that if we ever hit a pocket of time where VeChain goes through a very rapid pocket of adoption or they achieve some massive deal with a company such as Amazon or if Walmart extends it internationally, and there's a ton of VThor being burned on a daily basis, which is already at record high burns, then it's going to become more rare in the interim. And I do believe that that would drive the price up higher, just as if gasoline, if there's a shortage of it, you're paying more at the pump. So that's my long-term hope, is that we might hit one or two of those congestion periods that will affect it positively. But my position in VThor, I have only about 1/10 of the amount in VThor that I do have in VeChain, simply based on that inflationary nature. I wouldn't go all, balls to the wall into VThor because it's only 2 cents as opposed to VeChain's 9 cents. There's a reason for that. So keep that in mind, but I think both are very good holds throughout the course of the bull run, especially going into altcoin season. The next one I'm going to talk about is Harmony One. So One is the ticker, but Harmony is the actual blockchain name. Now, they are already pumping, just like VeChain is. They're a little bit more parabolic at the moment. They went from, when I was first buying them, it was around 2 cents, and right now we're knocking on the door of 16 cents. And I believe that's because we're coming up to the start of altcoin season, and people are starting to recognize this team and what they do. So what Harmony is Harmony is a blockchain platform designed to facilitate the creation and use of decentralized applications, which are those dApps that are built on different blockchains. This network aims to innovate the way decentralized applications work by focusing on random state sharding, which allows creating blocks in seconds. And if you remember when I explained what sharding was, it's just like taking a database or a very long blockchain, something that's slower, that has all this combined data in it, and trying to section it off and break it apart so that it can move more quickly without damaging the integrity or security of that blockchain. And part of the reason why so many people believe in this crypto is Stephen Say, the founder and CEO, he is a very, very good project lead on this. Graduated from the University of Pennsylvania, but he's been around in this space for a while and actually even sold a startup company to Apple years ago. And then he put together this team of all being former employees from Google, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon. Their team isn't just blockchain expertise, but it is also the expertise that comes along with bringing in top level talent from all these organizations. And I think that they're going to be able to scale this very nicely over the course of the year. Now, when you do take a look at something like Harmony and you see it pumping up, yes, do I believe it's going to do well over the next couple months? Absolutely. But word of caution, because I am not a financial advisor, but I do not want to see anyone get wrecked. Be careful running into green candles. All of these cryptos, even on a weekly or maybe even a larger monthly basis, they do face corrections as well. So make sure that you look for the best entry time for you and you're not buying something at the absolute top or peak or at its right now all-time high. Maybe wait for a little pullback. Now, it could just keep running up. I don't know. I can't read the future. I'm not a fucking wizard, but just something to keep in mind to make sure you're not wrecking yourself there or buying into a really good project but sitting in the negative for a month because they face a large correction. The next one that I'm a big believer in is Hbar, or Hedera Hashgraph is their full name. So they're actually going through a correction right now because they had a very big run up just recently over the course of the last month, starting around the end of February, right after Bitcoin had that pullback. When Bitcoin loses dominance, altcoins tend to start to rattle. So when you are shaking out the weaker altcoins and pumping up the ones that have value, Hbar is one of those ones that a lot of people didn't like at the beginning because all they are just an additional public network that allows individuals and businesses to create powerful decentralized applications. And you start to hear this same narrative over and over again. How many networks are you going to have fighting over cap space that try and create decentralized applications? But when it comes to them, it's designed to be fair, more efficient, and it eliminates some of the limitations older blockchain-based platforms face, such as slow performance and instability. And they actually were just coming out with news last month, and part of why I believe the price pumped. Google, of all fucking people, joined their governing council. So when you have big names like Google, or one of the ones I'm going to cover next, has big partnerships with other large companies, that gets people excited because where maybe Hbar's team, when they were getting started out, could run up against an obstacle or a roadblock or a scaling problem that they wouldn't be able to solve on their own, when you have someone like Google in your corner, it gives you the ability to overcome some of those obstacles. So that's one that I believe still may have a little bit of pullback left before it starts going back up, but I think they're going to continue to have a solid year despite that. The next one is Helium. This is the only one on the list that I haven't owned at any point throughout the bull run thus far, but I have been covering it or at least following it since there's a YouTube channel, Cryptos Are Us. George is the guy that runs it. Phenomenal channel, and he covered them back when they were about $3. And the reason why I like them and why once I take profits probably out of VeChain or somewhere else that's doing really well that I have a ton of, I'm going to put it into Helium because they have a unique take on blockchain and what they're trying to do with it. So they were recently running up a bit, and you can see right about where he was covering them because he has about 200,000 subscribers. They pumped up real big and then settled down a bit, and now they're on the rise again. So Helium is more of a take on communication than it is on networks just online. So Helium is a decentralized blockchain powered network for the Internet of Things devices or IoT devices. Launched in 2019, Helium's mainnet allows low-powered wireless devices to communicate with each other and send data across a network of nodes. So they are focused more on communication and connectivity, not so much just building on their blockchain. And their goal was to prepare IoT communication for the future, identifying inadequacies in current infrastructure from its birth in 2019. So it's been around for a while, and it's finally starting to get some love. And it's one of those ones that I wanted to first see how everyone would respond to them going up, and also continue to do my own research on it. It's one of the less familiar applications of blockchain just because it is so unique. And it's tough to tell when someone's a first mover in a different space how it's going to be perceived. The next one I'm going to cover is Elrond. So Elrond is one that I'm big on, and I'm actually preparing to stake at the moment, which staking is just securing the network and earning rewards on it. but they had a very big pump a little bit ago. So they ran up to about almost $200. I was buying them. I didn't buy them like super early, like some of the ones that I bought. I bought most of them around like 60 or so dollars. And then they went through what you will see is one of the larger corrections. So they dipped down, and they've been down now for about 2 months, give or take. And that is okay when it comes to altcoins. Everything doesn't always go up. And I'm not just going to sit there and badger you with saying, oh, you got to buy it because it's never going to correct. Most of these do. They have a lower circulating supply than some of your other blockchains that do network stuff like Elrond does. So Elrond is a blockchain protocol that seeks to offer extremely fast transaction speeds by using sharding. The project describes itself as a technology ecosystem for the new internet, which includes fintech, decentralized finance, and IoT. Its smart contracts execute platform is reportedly capable of 15,000 transactions per second in a 6-second latency and about 1/10 of a penny per transaction cost. So when you compare it to Ethereum, like when I showed you when I was trying to use Uniswap, I paid $46 to buy $18 worth of a crypto. So having 1/10 of a penny be your transaction cost is very attractive. And I have my own wallet with them that I have about 20 Elrond that I'm waiting to stake. I don't have all my Elrond in it, but I keep some of it in. And I intend to continue to stake that and build that out. And ultimately, I will get about 29% APY once my Elrond is staked. Now, they also worked on onboarding the next billion people. It was their goal, next multi-trillion-dollar market. And they went through, starting in about early January, what they called 100 days of hypergrowth. And they had this massive roadmap during this where they tried to acquire as many partnerships and big names and connections as they possibly could. And they're really, really laying into setting the groundwork before everything goes live. And I said that they get a couple exciting announcements coming out when it comes to their next legs of what they intend to do. And I'm excited for their project moving forward. Solana is another network, much like Ethereum in a way. Both Elrond, Solana, and Cosmos, which I'm doing my own separate video on, they're all networks like Cardano, Ethereum, and Polkadot. They're like the next tier 2 ones that are just coming up trying to find their market cap. And Solana is a little bit different than some of the other ones because it has a different aspect in its proof of work. So they actually, here, let me read where the difference is. The Solana protocol is designed to facilitate decentralized app creation. It aims to improve scalability by introducing proof of history consensuses combined with the underlying proof of stake consensus. Because of this innovative hybrid model, Solana enjoys interest from small-time traders and institutional traders alike. A significant focus for the Solana Foundation is to make decentralized finance accessible on a larger scale. So unlike connecting the Internet of Things like Elrond, they're more focused on that DeFi play, decentralized finance, and they have a proof of history backing, which is a little bit different than just proof of stake. I had Solana a bit when it was around $6, sold it at 10, probably could have held it, it went up to 16. I do not know enough to confidently dive into the proof of history. In this video, I intend to do a separate video on Solana. They're just not one of my top holdings, so I didn't dive too much deeper into it. It's just one that I knew was going to continue to rise, and I wanted to be in the right spot for it and keep my eye on it. But if I were to make my top 50 list of where I'm putting my money, they're towards the bottom, but it is something to keep an eye on. And then the final one, or no, there's one I skipped over just to make sure my Elrond page didn't time out. So Engine. Engine is one that I covered in my NFT video when we were talking about non-fungible tokens and creating digitized assets for people to buy, but they're also a big gaming coin as well. And they have several different partnerships that they're working on that they're really big on, including talking to Samsung and Microsoft, which I pulled up their actual page as well, and they were putting out a Microsoft-based NFT for people to buy. So again, anytime you have larger names in the game, that is starting to build a lot of credibility for that blockchain. Now, when you want to talk about parabolic run-ups, this would be it. So everyone that FOMO'd in right up at the top, it got up to about $1.75. And then right now it's in a correction. It's down to about $2.30. I did have a fair amount of engine. This is one I bought. I'm fucking kicking myself. I bought them through Uniswap before I even knew that they were available on Binance US. And I had them back at like 30 cents. And I was holding them for a while when they weren't doing anything. And it was down in like this big like stall out period. And I sold them, I shit you not, like right at the end of January, around 36 cents. And that's when they started popping off. And I bought back in around like $1.10 and rode that all the way up. And then I sold for profit up top because NFT cryptos right now are going to go through a very harsh correction. But if they do dip down any further, I'm going to move some profits from maybe Harmony or VeChain into Engine again. And this is one of those coins that I am very big on long term. I think that they have the right partnerships. I think that they're focused on the right space, not just NFTs. And I think somewhat it is a very dangerous bubble until it starts to stabilize itself. But they're also big into gaming. That I think esports is going to have a massive market for cryptocurrency. And this is one that I believe in long term. So I wanted to add them to this list. They're also available along with VeChain on Voyager. So when I put out my Voyager video, I am going to mention these two again. But if you don't have Voyager and you just have Binance US, then you can access them on there as well. And the final one I want to mention is Zilliqa. So Zilliqa was down a bit. They just had a nice little leg up and little run up there. And they are another network that is trying to capture some of this market space. They're right around the top 50 crypto level, but they climbed up really well and they've been having a good year so far. If you dive deep into crypto Twitter where people are really talking about what projects they believe in, Zilliqa gets a lot of love and they have a very dedicated fan base and team behind it. But Zilliqa is a public, permissionless blockchain that is designed to offer high throughput with the ability to complete thousands of transactions per second. It seeks to solve the issue of blockchain scalability and speed by employing sharding as a second layer solution. This platform is home to many decentralized apps, and as of October 2020, they also allow for staking and yield farming just to make additional money or earn additional Zilliqa on top of what you already have. Now, it's going to sound a little redundant when we're just talking about, oh, they're just another network and they're trying to do decentralized applications. But if you think about any other industry on the planet, there are tons of different competitors in those spaces that all fight for market cap or shelf space. So I try and look at which ones I think are going to do well compared to some of the older dead chains that I'm going to make a separate video on, like EOS and Tron and Neo and ones that I think aren't going to do well and haven't done well. And for Zilliqa, so Zilliqa Capital launches to grow Southeast Asian financial ecosystem. So this is just recently, they were talking about this news coming out, but this Singapore-based technology company whose objective is to become the central business and investment hub for high-performance, high-security blockchain platform Zilliqa Research has announced its official launch. So they're doing a lot of things and incorporating themselves with a lot of companies over in Asia. And when you look at what cryptos are going to do well, it's not just hype, it's not just bullshit, it's not just how many are in circulation, it's what partnerships and what applications are they going to incorporate into the already existing centralized financial world. And how are we going to bridge that gap so that money can flow into projects such as this? So those are all things that I keep in mind when I look at different cryptos. And I think that on Binance US, these are some of my favorite picks that I think long-term are going to do well over the course of this bull run, hopefully, especially through altcoin season. And I'd be curious and excited to hear what your feedback is. If there's any on Binance US that I didn't cover or that I haven't done previous videos on, like I didn't say, oh, Ethereum or Cardano. We've already covered those. I feel like that goes without saying. But if there are any that I didn't cover that you believe deserve a little bit of spotlight, leave a comment down below. I'm happy to do a deeper dive on them. And I'm going to do a separate video on Cosmos and Chainlink, which are available on most of these exchanges anyway. This is more ones that are almost only found on Binance US on the major exchanges, minus VeChain and Engine. So I'm excited to hear your guys' thoughts. Please share the video, please like the video, and thank you for joining us on today's episode of Viva La Coin, and I will catch you guys next time.